It's November 25th in Trinidad and Tobago and the rest of the Eastern Caribbean, as they used to say on radio years ago. Hello, everybody. This is AM Prime. We're just getting going here on WESN. Let's tell you what's happening in this edition of the program. We will be talking with public interest activist and advocate Ravi Balgobin Maharaj. He's filed his latest motion trying to understand the government's decision for postponing the upcoming local government elections. He's challenging that decision. We will talk with him in the second hour of the program. We're also talking in this edition of the program with Ryan Rampersad. He's a local government councillor in Longdonville and Talparo, and the issue involves the impassability of roads in that district because of continuous heavy rainfall and flooding. And we will start with that issue moments from now as well with Jason Ali. He's the local government representative for the area of Sipario West and Faizabad. Well, a major sort of thoroughfare from one part of that region to the next, what is called the SS Erin Road. That is impassable because of what has happened with wear and tear, and that for months that has been going on. Bit by bit, the road was becoming less and less sort of accessible and usable by people in that part of the country. It's collapsed entirely, and people have to be paying 3 times the transportation costs to get from one part of that area, sort of in the Southwest Peninsula, to the other. So we're talking with Mr. Ali about that as well. What is the situation, and what hope lies ahead for people to resume their normal transportation route? And I can tell you what the situation is, where they are using now. Just that the road exists, but it is in no condition really for any kind of decent travel to be taking place in that part of the country. They go through the fields, as we call it in that part of the country, through Faizabad to get to Oropouche and then to San Fernando. And the roads going through part of that place, Quarry Village as they call it, between there and Faizabad, are as bad as anything else. So it's from hell to high water, as you might say, for people seeking to get from one part of the country to another in that part of the country, as well as in those areas in Longdonville and Talparo, similar kinds of situation. And those things and more on the program in this edition. We will come back in a moment. Stay with us.
Whether it's your family meet and eat, or your own personal getaway retreat, a business trip accommodation, or a couple's celebration, the Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa has room for you. There's always sumptuous, delicious cuisine, and the gym and tennis court for a good workout routine. Then relax by the pool or on the private beach, or just head to the spa. It's also within reach. The Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, Tobago's best beach resort. For reservations, call 639-8571 or check our website.
At Belgroves, celebrating life is our commitment with integrity, compassion, and dignity for your loved ones. Belgroves Funeral Home and Crematorium, serving Trinidad and Tobago for over a century.
The issue, the continued rise in the price of flour and its impact on the cost of living in Trinidad and Tobago. How should we go about it? I want to ask you, what has been revealed to you about the state of vulnerability in the country because of this exercise and because of what we're going through? Is the government losing the war on the vaccine front?
The discussion should revolve around the common good for the greatest number of people in Trinidad and Tobago.
How do we inculcate a sense of respect and regard for people who may not be of your own political ilk or persuasion?
The communities are now being used by political opportunists. So
when the tables are turned, it's the same way. Okay, this has been 10 questions. I'm Andy Johnson, and we'll see you next time.
Make every occasion a sparkling celebration with Rosabella alcohol-free wine.
Toast cheers with hourglass rings. Rosabella, live life with Rosabella sparkling drink. Celebrate.
Your Christmas is safe with us at PCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union. Your Christmas is safe with us at PCU. Police Credit Union. PCU. Police Credit Union.
Get an easy zero-interest Christmas loan at Police Credit Union today. Borrow up to $25,000 with affordable monthly payments. New members, you get up to $10,000. No interest, no installments until January. Apply online at www.policecreditunion.com. Loan subject to credit approval.
On the next episode of Nicole Larson Live, Living in Victory Every Day.
You, and I've known you for so many years, you going for them. You know, it's only a
Rescue
call,
mission.
you will rescue, you know, and dun-dun-dun-dun, and you're going. But I want to find out about that passion. Where did it come from?
Well, you know, I've thought about that a lot. I think it's a combination of my family upbringing and my faith.
We see sometimes that stillbirth or miscarriage might have higher rates of mental health complications, or abortion has higher rates of mental health complications.
Believe that whatever God allows has great potential to become your greatest win.
You are stronger than you know. So much stronger than you think.
No matter what they say, living in victory every day.
Nicole Larson Live, Living in Victory Every Day. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. and Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. on WESN.
Welcome back to the program. With us now, Mr. Jason Ali. He's the local government representative for the area known as Sipario West Faizabad in that regional corporation. And the situation is we've watched the deterioration of part of the road, what is called the SS Airlink Road, to the point where the road is just impassable. It has collapsed entirely, and so people have to use an alternative route when they're going through that part of the country. What the situation is, how long attention has been drawn to the situation, and what has not been done about it. Mr. Ali, good to see you. Thanks for coming on.
Good morning.
Yeah, well, we're talking as two homeboys here. Good to see you. So let's discuss the issue. This has developed over a period of time, and it is simply a lack of attention by the relevant authorities that has led to the fact now. So the people, my understanding is that people have to pay, what, double the price?
Double and triple.
Yeah.
Yes, double and triple the amount to get into Skinner Chase for one, and to traverse from Sipario to Santa Flora. They have to go through what we would know as Faizabad Branch Road, and then take the Company Road, which is called the St. Klein Road, and come out to Santa Flora.
Yeah. So what are people saying? I mean, how are people doing that? And how does that affect traffic through that area?
Okay. A lot of people, they are complaining because, for one, it takes almost 4 times the amount of time to move from Quarry Village to Santa Flora. That is one. Secondly, the price, as I previously said, tripled. And what we are seeing now is that the connection between the communities, because where the landslip is located at Quarry Village, you now cut off the entire southern peninsula. When we say from Santa Flora to Los Bajo to Palaseco, Erin, Los Rio. So what we are seeing now, the maxi services that have school children that would transport these school children from one area to another. Some of them, they're passing through the field road, and students that live in the vicinity of the landslip, they have to walk almost 2 and 3 miles to get to the point where the maxi would drop them off, or the maxi would pick them up on a morning. So it is a problem for everyone that passes along that road right now.
Yeah. So the period over which this road was gradually deteriorating from one side to the next before it got to the other side, such that there's a kind of a river in between. Yes. What were the authorities saying? What were they proposing to do?
Well, that issue started a while ago, And we contacted WASA, the residents contacted WASA, myself, we contacted WASA, indicating to WASA that there was a leak. Nothing was done until the land started to slip away. Then WASA came and they repaired a broken pipeline, but that was too late. Now we are seeing one house is totally destroyed, the house collapsed. And, now they are now trying to put something in place to fix the landslip. Something that would have cost next to nothing to repair would now be costing the state millions of dollars due to lack of proper planning and lack of maintenance of infrastructure.
Yeah, and who is ultimately responsible for maintenance and then for repairs, which will be the case now?
Okay, first to begin with, WASA still hasn't repaired the broken pipeline. So up to last night around 9:30, I was at the site of the landslip and there was water still running out of a 16-inch main line. Right? Yesterday, Ministry of Works came and they did some temporary work to try to open back the road. And by the evening, they had to come back and put more material because the land dropped at least about 4 inches again. And it is all leaking, slipping due to the leak in the 16-inch pipeline. And there's also an 8-inch pipeline there that was capped off recently, but that was leaking also previously.
Yeah, and it's not for want of knowledge of what the situation is, and one imagines activism on the part of people like yourselves who will keep drawing this to the attention of those whose responsibility it is to maintain and to repair the roads.
Yes, we will continue to draw to the attention of the relevant authorities. But a lot of these infrastructural problems that you're seeing now with landslips throughout the country, I would safely say the state agencies have a part to play in causing some of these landslips, because not too far from Skinner Chase, at Labrie Chase, we had recently where a WASA line burst, and there's a massive landslip there also. WASA, thank God, they came and they repaired that landslip there, but now the Superior Regional Corporation, we have to build a retaining wall to hold that Labrie Chase road. Our engineers estimated that cost for that landslip to repair that with a retaining wall would run into about close to $1 to $1.5 million.
Yeah, and that is the road that leads to and from what used to be Superior Junior Sec, right?
Superior East Secondary, Superior West Secondary, and Quarry Early Childhood Center. We have 2 secondary schools and an early childhood center.
On that roadway.
On that roadway.
So that's a lot of an additional set of inconveniences for people who must use that road on a daily basis.
Well, right now we put some barrels along the landslip, the side with the landslip there. So residents and people, they are still traversing the roadway. But if something is not done as soon as possible by the Superior Regional Corporation, that Labrie Chase road will also cave away.
Yeah, and before we came in here, we were talking about other inconveniences you would see and hazards with the roads in that part of the country. And we're talking for people who know, let's say when you leave Faizabad and you get to the entrance to Forest Reserve, between there and when we come out in Santa Flora, there are parts of that road as well. There are parts of it that are pristine. The surface is smooth and it is, is a joy to drive on it. But on one side and then on the other side of that, you have to go at almost zero to get through the situation. And all the time I was thinking that because it's coming through where you have former locations, abandoned wells, some of them capped and what have you. And all the time I was thinking that was Company Road, but you say most of it is under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Works. But that's another kind of nightmare.
Yes, that Faizabad branch road, that what we will call from Old Hilo to Sudama Village, that is a total nightmare, that piece of roadway. What the traveling community, what we do when we pass through that road morning and evening, you decide on which pothole to go down into, because at some points you must go down into a pothole. So you have to think now, I will go down into this pothole today, because if I go down into this pothole today, I may not damage my vehicle. Myself, the community councillor for the area, together with the MP for Faizabad, Dr. Lakram Bodo, we wrote Ministry of Works on many occasions asking for some relief to fix that Faizabad branch road. But to date, no permanent solution has been developed to do some form of resheeting or patching of the bad spots along that Faizabad branch road. Ministry of Works came maybe once or twice and they put something that we'll call milling onto the roadway, and after rainfall a couple of times it will just wash out and the holes will remain the same. Thank God we have one or two good contractors in the area. They pass and they put some stone into the roadway and some oil sand. And the limited resources that we have at the Sapara Regional Corporation also, we put some yellow stone in some of these holes, and just to try to alleviate the problem, to make the traveling community a little more comfortable, because that area, yes, is a major thoroughfare linking Faizabad to Santa Flora, but it's also an area that we have a lot of crime, because yesterday Heritage put out an advertisement, right? They sent out a letter asking people who traverse that roadway to be very careful, because we had criminal activities where one person was actually held up and robbed of their vehicle a couple weeks ago, maybe about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So when people have to slow down to go down into these holes, right, they are becoming targets, because if your vehicle is in a lonely area and you come to a complete stop, it is very easy for somebody to run out with a firearm and, you know, take your vehicle and leave you on the side of the road.
Yeah. So how is the Ministry of Works is not dealing with that at all?
So far, I would say no, they are not dealing with that repairs to the Faizabad branch road. Although I spoke to some individuals within the Ministry of Works and Transport, and they continue to try to get material to repair this roadway. The material is not coming. The material is not coming. We are asking for crushed material and hot mix and to fix the roadway, and we are not getting it.
Yeah, and you'd call the figure, you say, to fix that part of the broken SS area main road. That is money that the corporation has to find, has to raise, or you have to petition that from the Ministry of Works, or what?
Okay, to fix the landslip at Labrador Chase, that road falls strictly under the purview of the Sapara Regional Corporation. We at the Sapara Regional Corporation will have to find the money to fix that piece of roadway. On the SS area road, that falls under the ambits of the Ministry of Works and Transport. So they are seeing about fixing that piece of roadway. But leading into Skinner Chase now, yes, where the entire roadway has collapsed, that falls strictly under the Ministry of Local Government and partly the Sapara Regional Corporation. But due to the size of that landslip, that falls outside the magnitude of work, the scope of work that we at the Sapara Regional Corporation could undertake to repair that Skinner Chase. So we are asking the Ministry of Local Government to send in their technocrats also to come and see how they can repair and restore that roadway at Skinner Chase. Because right now, currently, the residents of Skinner Chase, we open the alternative access to the back of Skinner Chase, which is totally in a mess to get these residents in and out. Myself, together with the MP and the residents of the area, we got some milling material that was promised from the Ministry of Works. They gave us some milling material to make the roadway a little more accessible for the residents. But that roadway also, we going into, you could safely say, quarter-mile into the forest. We have no street lights. We have nothing. So it is, 6:28 in the morning, and that area is still totally dark because we have overhanging mango trees, bamboo patch. It is totally dark this hour at 6:28 in the morning at Skinner Chase. So, you know, we come up with a problem now of security, because we have ladies, they cannot pass to the front and they have to walk through this entire area to the back where it is unsafe. And over the past couple of years, we had instances where bodies were found along that roadway, what we would call the syncline road, where residents have to now risk their lives to come out, to pass, to get to work, to get to school, and to get the commodities that they require to run their lives on a daily basis.
What do you mean bodies are found? People have been killed there, or killed and then dumped there and so on?
Killed and then dumped in the back there, yes.
So it's emerging as a kind of killing fields. And so it's...
Well, a dumping ground, yes.
This is... So it's issue upon issue that
it is issue upon issue, and we are begging, we are pleading with the state to come out and help repair the front of Skinner Chase and the SSA Road to make it safer for this community of Quarry Village and the rest of the Southern Peninsula that traverse that roadway along the SSA Road.
Yeah, our time is up, Mr. Ali. We're going to have to leave it there, but it's wonderful talking with you. And one is just imagining, people don't pay enough attention, some of us, to the work done by people in the local government system. Are you talking about a situation here in which this ought to be part-time work for you, but in situations like these, you're up and about on some issue every day?
Every day, yes, because even the residents of the area, since before Diwali, they haven't received a supply of water due to that landslip. And up to Diwali Day, the Saparia Regional Corporation, together with myself, I was out delivering water Sunday the night before Diwali until 9 o'clock. Our trucks at the Saparia Regional Corporation was out distributing water to the residents, so at least they would have some sorts of water to use. And up to yesterday, we had our trucks delivering water. Although WASA is still delivering some water, how much water these trucks can give? We have hundreds of residents without a supply of water for the last going into 6 weeks.
Yeah. All right. So what are you doing today?
Today, well, the Ministry of Works, they will come back on site to see if there is any slippage from last night, and they will do repairs. I spoke to someone from WASA, and most likely they would start to do some work there to restore a pipeline so that the community of Quarry Village would receive a supply of water by tonight into tomorrow. If that is not done, it will be going into 7 weeks. The community of Quarry would be out of a supply of water.
Well, let's hope the people who are responsible for these things look at shows like these so they get a sense of the, you want to call it trauma, that people continue to live through in some parts of the country, including this. But Mr. Ali, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you, and you're welcome.
All right, Jason Ali, the local government representative in Saparia West Faizabad, to hear what is on his agenda on a daily basis, having to represent the people at that level. We're going to take a break, take you around the region a couple of times before we get to our next discussion. More on that situation in a different part of the country. Stay with us. This is AM Prime.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
Your Christmas is safe with us at PCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union. Your Christmas is safe with us at PCU. Police Credit Union. Police Credit Union.
Get an easy zero-interest Christmas loan at Police Credit Union today. Borrow up to $25,000 with affordable monthly payments. New members, you get up to $10,000. No interest, no installments until January. Apply online at www.policecreditunion.com. Loan subject to credit approval.
Whether it's a room for 1, 2, 3 or more, there's a room waiting with the ocean view almost to your door. Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, the perfect getaway when you don't want to travel far. The Cocoa Reef Resort and Spa, Crown Point, Tobago. Call 639-8571 for your reservation.
At Belgroves, celebrating life is our commitment with integrity, compassion, and dignity for your loved ones. Belgroves Funeral Home and Crematorium, serving Trinidad and Tobago for over a century.
What's the best way to grab the attention of viewers?
Please exercise more patience. You have to be kidding me.
Doing what we do best. I'll say at the very least it's a conspiracy of laziness against the people.
Join me, Keaton Shaw.
And me, Sean Michael Small, for Talking Point.
Weekdays from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m.
We go in depth on the trending issues and engage the most controversial newsmakers
as we get them to account to the people for their actions.
You can't go to the government with nothing. You can't go to cabinet with an empty hand, with a wish.
I'm glad that we're having this a sober, mature discussion.
In the present situation, I expect a continuation of the chaos.
Join us for the discussion, Mondays to Fridays,
only on WESN,
the content capital.
Make every occasion a sparkling celebration with Rosabella alcohol-free wine.
Close chairs with hourglass race. Rosabella, live life with Rosabella, sparkling drink. Celebrate!
On the next episode of Nicole Larson Live, Living in Victory every day.
You, and I've known you for so many years, you going for them. You know, it's only a
Rescue
call.
mission.
You were rescued, you know, and da-da-da-da, and you're going. But I want to find out about that passion. Where did it come from?
Well, you know, I've thought about that a lot. I think it's a combination of my family upbringing and my faith.
We see sometimes that stillbirth or miscarriage might have higher rates of mental health complications, or abortion has higher rates of mental health complications.
Believe that whatever God allows has great potential to become your greatest win.
You are stronger than you know. So much stronger than you think.
No matter what they say, living in victory every day.
Nicole Larson Live, Living in Victory every day. Every Sunday at 8 p.m. and Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. on WESN.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing now, Andy.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is there no pressure on Nicholas Paul?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
Welcome back to the program. You could call it moving from the frying pan to the fire. Same thing, different area. We're talking about the situation in a place called Mundo Nuevo. That means new world. To what extent the people who live there feel that they're living in a new world? Mr. Ryan Rampersad is the local government representative for part of that area, Longdenville, Talparo. We tell you how you locate that in part of the country. Similar kinds of issues, landslides and bad roads in that area. And the activism continues. Good to see you, sir. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Good morning.
All right. And we're talking about a piece of road. I think, tell me if I'm wrong, Todd's Road connects these two places, right? And coming through Todd's Road, sometimes if you have to come through there in the night, it's dreadful. You're driving through large pieces of, well, a long stretch of cocoa and so on, correct?
Yes, correct. And in my 41 years of living in Todd's Road, presently, this is the worst that it has ever been.
And, well, describe what you mean when you say that.
Well, there are a couple of very dangerous landslips, Mr. Johnson, that where the Ministry of Works, they haven't even placed caution tape. And, you know, to the unsuspecting driver, you could go into this precipice, you know, in the night. It is the worst. You have quite a number of landslips that have been caused due to a simple lack of maintenance. And we'll go into that, I guess, a bit later into your program. But it has been the worst since my time living in Todd's Road.
And the people have been demonstrating and expressing frustration about it for some time now.
Indeed, they do. Yeah, the residents of these parts, the power of social media and so on, they would send out videos. Sometimes they would do demonstrations, and when it spills over, they take to the streets and they light fires. They did yesterday.
Oh, so there was some burning of stuff yesterday to call attention to the situation.
Yes, there was a fiery protest in Mondo Nuevo yesterday.
Yeah, and what has been the response of the authorities over the period of time that people have been calling attention to this?
Okay, what I can tell you, Mr. Johnson, is that you mentioned the Todd's Road before, the Todd Station Road that connects Talparo and Mondo Nuevo.
Yes.
And that other road where there was a protest yesterday, whilst it is in the community of Mondo Nuevo, the name of the road is the Talparo Main Road.
Right.
The Talparo Main Road runs from the San Rafael RC Church, by that roundabout there.
Yes.
Right. It starts there and it proceeds south through Brazil Village, through Talparo and into Mondo Nuevo.
Yes.
The Ministry of Works, they are responsible for these two roads that we spoke about, the Todd Station Road and the Talparo Road. You have the Caroni District in charge of the Todd Station Road, which is centrally based. And you have the St. George East District, which is based in O'Mara, by the corner of O'Mara Road and the Priority Bus Route, that Ministry of Works compound there.
Yes.
They are responsible. I can tell you that over the years that I've been councillor, the engineers and their teams of workers have always been very responsive whenever we call on them. Their problem, Mr. Johnson, is resources. In Shoguanas, they do not have laborers. They are suffering from shortage of manpower. And 50%, approximately 50% of the landslips taking place in Todd Road could have been avoided with just a couple laborers.
I think we've had a break in our transmission. All right, let's take a break. Let's try and work something out in the meantime here. Let's take a look around the region as we try and fix this communication with Mr. Rampersad. Let's take a look at what's happening in Barbados. There are fresh efforts to strengthen trade and business relations between Barbados and Scotland, and it has come with the start of a strategic trade mission at the Hilton, Barbados, being spearheaded by an organization called Invest Barbados. We have a report from CBC News.
In his remarks at the start of the Scotland Trade and Investment Mission to Barbados, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Kerry Simmons, said it would be important to build linkages, to assess the needs of each country and the business interest on the other side. However, he identified one key area where Scotland can lend its assistance soonest, in the area of Barbados' renewable energy national thrust.
The reality is that as we map out our way forward, one of the areas that we must now embrace is onshore and offshore wind. And with respect to the offshore wind, all of the available technologies, whether fixed or floating, are available for discussion and pursuit. We have 16 times our land space in terms of our ocean space. And therefore, we want to make the most of that. We have done the wind studies. We've identified parts of the island, especially to the north of the island, which are deemed to be ideal, and as far as I understand it, within the top 10 locations to be found on planet Earth for investment in wind.
Minister Simmons says since Scotland has been able to record achievements in the area of wind so far, he believes it should be easier for the two countries to forge an alliance. He also identified another key area of potential cooperation.
We have the obvious need, and you folks have the obvious capacity, experience, and expertise. The digital services one is one also that is near and dear to my heart. I served as a former tourism minister, and I must tell you again, Scotland was the beneficiary of a little bit of data analytics that we had to import into the island in order to look after the interest of this tourism product, which is so critical to Barbados. So I would be the happiest camper in the world if we were able to build out more expertise and more capacity on the digital services end.
Also addressing the opening was Barbados High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Milton Innes. He sees the mission as a continuation of the strong links Barbados has long held with the United Kingdom. He said it was not the first time Barbados had engaged Scotland through its town Renfrewshire.
This is the third trade and investment mission with the Renfrewshire Business Network. I recall my visit to Scotland with the CEO of Invest Barbados, Ms. Kay-Ann Greenidge, and the enthusiasm that pervaded that reception about doing business in Barbados. Subsequent to that first visit, I have participated in a number of meetings with the Renfrewshire Business Network, and I am pleased to say that the enthusiasm has not dimmed.
And the mission will continue throughout the week with a range of engagements and activities on the schedule.
All right, we thank Mr. Rampersad for staying with us here. Ryan Rampersad, the local government councillor in Longdonville, Talpara. He's talking about the heightened activism as well as the heightened level of inconvenience people in that part of the country enduring, given the situation with roads that are impassable in that part of the country. Take it up from where we left off, sir.
Yes, Mr. Johnson. So as I was saying, one of the most important problems that we need to identify is the lack of resources at the various Ministry of Works compounds. And when you call the engineers, when you call the supervisors, they indicate that there are basic, resources that they don't have. Manpower is one that is suffering from in Central. Some time ago, earlier this year, employees were hired in the St. George's district, so the East-West corridor more or less has been resourced. But the Central Division, they are suffering. They do not have that manpower to send out to maintain these drains. I'll go a bit further. Just a couple of days ago, the Brasso-Caparo Valley Road was cut off. A landslide broke away and vehicles could not pass. And the Ministry of Works in Chaguanas, they had the necessary, steel sheet shoring and piles and boulders to send to reinstate the road. But they did not have a simple backhoe. And that division in Chaguanas takes care of a large section of Trinidad, in Central, from the Caroni Bridge go all the way down to Gasparillo. And they do not have a backhoe, Mr. Johnson. We, the councillors at the Coover-Tabakit Regional Corporation, we had to lobby to get a backhoe, and a resident from the Caparo area paid for a backhoe. How can you do simple maintenance works if you don't have the resources? And we see money being spent widely all over in all kind of fanfare projects across the country. And we are asking for the divisions to be properly resourced so that many of these problems could be avoided. Mr. Johnson, you would be horrified to see for yourself that some of these landslips could be avoided. Some may not be able to be avoided, but the thing is, you have about 50% of these landslips are being created because of a simple lack of maintenance. That's what is happening. You mentioned the Third Station Road. And, a count on the Third Station Road revealed that there were 222 potholes. And I'm speaking about like 6 to 8 inches and above, not the minor baby ones. 222 potholes along the Third Station Road. And when you pass through those 222 potholes to get to Mondo Nuevo, you are faced with 468 more potholes to enter Mondo Nuevo.
How do you have the accounting down so specifically? Did you know exactly how many there are? Because that's what you have to deal with for some time now. So
I live in these parts. I drive into these potholes, and my next step is to probably name these potholes, right? There's a saying, difficult roads leads to beautiful destinations. Well, I'll tell you something. This administration has changed that saying in these parts. Difficult roads lead to more difficult roads.
And this area is represented by someone who has the reputation of being one of the hardest working MPs on the ground and so on, Mr. Foster Cummings, right?
Well, I don't know if I could say that, because when you hear the figures here, would you really say that? The thing is, I'm not sure if the problem is the campaign that is happening right now or what. But all the representatives that come through that administration seems to turn a blind eye. The previous MP lived in this area. He was born and raised in Todd's Road.
Mr.
That is Maxi Coffee, right? And he fell ill after a time. But prior to that, there was no representation really. And what I'm saying is, if you were to ask me what would be my main message, right? it would be preventative maintenance. We need to be doing this, and you need resources to be doing it, right? You need resources to be doing it. And we feel neglected in these parts.
Yeah, and you know, that people have come to know some of these places because of the continued need for activism, because you're talking now, and I'm thinking about somebody like Sahadeo Bundu, for instance, who was a, you know,
Sahadeo Bundu was a champion. He was a champion. I got involved in politics. The first time I mounted a platform was because of him, right? And I mean, God rest his soul, but he did quite a lot of work.
On trying to bring attention to fix to some of these issues in different parts of that area.
Yes, Mr. Johnson, I don't want to miss the point because I know we lost connection for a little bit, and you may have other interviews. The Mondo Nuevo ROC primary school, there's one primary school in that community. Yeah. It was closed off on, I think it's either Monday or Tuesday of this week because of a landslip. There's a landslip behind the school, and the school started cracking, and it was deemed unsafe. So the school has been shut down indefinitely. Well, when I say indefinitely, until a new school is rebuilt, there's no coming back. There's no repairs to be done there. That school has to be taken down because that's over 100 years old. The thing is,
how are the children attending? Where are they going?
Right. So I was told yesterday at the protest, I was told by some of the parents there that the children are being relocated to the Talparo Roman Catholic Primary School, where they will be making space to host them in a couple of weeks' time. I think they're going to finish the remainder of this term virtually. And then in the new term, they will venture into Talparo. But there's a problem. They cannot get to Talparo because of these landslips. The one highlighted yesterday is just the most dangerous one. But you have actually 25 landslips, apart from the 468 potholes. You have 25 landslips up there. Now, I must mention, in fairness to him, the engineer from the Ministry of Works from that area, St. George East District, he was on site yesterday doing a site visit. Now, he was not prompted, in fairness to him again, he was not prompted because of the protests. The gentleman had planned to do a site visit on Tuesday of this week, but because there were some protests in the Kumoto area and because of what happened in Manzanilla, he had to reschedule, so he rescheduled for yesterday. So he visited yesterday and he identified 4 very critical areas that needs to be fixed immediately. He did his assessments and he said he will submit it for emergency repairs. Now that's all he can do. After that is really getting the resources to do it, getting the funding to do it. He has done his job. The higher up powers needs to get their act in order. This is where the MP comes in. This is where the Minister of Works comes in. And then you are hearing them saying when the dry season comes about, Mr. Johnson, my 41 years of life on this earth, I've never heard that before. We're going to wait till the dry season. Yes, we know we have a dry season and a rainy season. But when you have an emergency job like this to do, are you saying that these people are going to suffer? You have engineers who could get work done. They could build a highway in an ocean. So do they wait for the dry season in the ocean?
Now, who is saying that?
The Prime Minister said that sometime last week or week before. I think it was some town meeting that they had that he admitted that they have not been paying attention to road infrastructure for a while. I can't remember what the excuse was, but he admitted that and indicated that they are going to be waiting for the dry season to kick off works.
And what do you all do in the meantime?
Well, I don't know. Maybe we should ask him that. What we're going to do? Well, what happened yesterday in Mondo Nuevo? I'm sure that is what is going to be happening all over the country.
And if there's this plan to have the children go to school in Talparo, that's a whole set of traveling now that is added to costs and so on and conveniences.
Exactly. And it is a very impoverished community. You know, between 2010 and 2015, you remember the Member of Parliament back then, Mr. Jayam Simangal?
Yes, very well.
And I'll tell you something. PTSC buses came into parts of these communities that they have never come to before. The third station road all the way into Talparo. If you have to travel from Talparo to Chaguanas, it will cost you about $35 because you have from Talparo, you have to go to Arima, Curep, then Chaguanas. You know, we got a bus service approved from Chaguanas to Talparo. And again, because of good roads, we were maintaining the roads, and you only pay $4. We also got a bus service from Arima into Mondo Nuevo. Immediately upon assuming office in 2015, Maxi Coffee that is, because of the lack of maintenance of roads, sometimes soon afterwards, the bus service was stopped because the bus drivers indicated they could not venture into Mondo Nuevo. So they have shown these people into a life of hardship. And I'm mentioning bus because maybe it could be used as a free service to help the people, but you don't have the infrastructure for the bus to come into the area and take the people out.
Yeah. So what on a day like today, how is today different or consistent with the kind of activism that you have to keep up with to continue to make these things be in front of the awareness of those people who have these responsibilities?
Well, as I indicated, the engineer for the St. George's district visited yesterday. He met with the residents because they were still protesting when he came up. The protest started about 5:30 in the morning. The engineer made his way into Mondo Nuevo because he started in the San Rafael area, through Brazil and looking at all the affected areas.
Yeah.
So it was about 10 a.m. when he arrived in Mondo Nuevo. The residents were still there, protesting, and he spoke to them. He was with his measuring tape, his measurement tape, and so on. He did his assessment, his estimates of the job. He spoke to them. So I think they are going to wait for a little while now, maybe a couple of weeks, just about 2 or 3 weeks before school closes, and the children would be in school virtually. So the children are not inconvenienced at this moment. However, you have the farmers who are inconvenienced. You have a number of poultry farmers in the area who provide employment and so on. The trucks cannot get into their area to bring the feed and supplies and so on, right? So, but nonetheless, the point is, what is the mood like today? I think they are waiting because they saw the engineer. He spoke to them, he leveled with them, and he told them, listen, these jobs, he identified 4 jobs in the area that are really critical, and he's going to put it up for emergency repairs. I think we are just awaiting some feedback from him, and he normally provides timely feedback as to, when these jobs can begin.
Wow, it's one set of frustrations upon another set all the time for people in diverse parts of the country, such as this one.
Yes, yes.
Mr. Ryan Rampersad, thank you very much for talking with us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Mr. Johnson.
All right, Ryan Rampersad, local government councillor in Longdenville, Talpara. You heard the litany of issues they're dealing with in that part of the country, as well as elsewhere. Well, let's take another look around the region now. We go to this story. It says that the recently proposed 8% compensation rise for public employees for 2022, this is in Guyana, has been supported by the Minister in charge of Finances. And we have a report on that from News Source Guyana.
Minister of Finance Dr. Ashni Singh today defended the government's 8% salary increase for public servants, pointing out that the government had to take several considerations into account before granting that 8% salary increase.
Well, look, there are a number of considerations that have to be taken on board in determining the level of salary increase that would be granted, including issues of sustainability, issues of parity, including issues of parity with the private sector.
President Irfan Ali last week announced the 8% across-the-board salary increase for public servants, a move that has since caused some level of unease among public servants who have taken to social media to express their displeasure with the announcement. The parliamentary APNU-AFC opposition and the Public Service Union have slammed the government's imposition of the 8% salary increase, calling it unconscionable in wake of the high cost of living. But the finance minister said the percentage chosen by the government reflect the optimal balance of the factors which had to be taken into consideration. He did not, however, address what seems to be widespread dissatisfaction with the 8% offer.
We have an obligation as a responsible government to be mindful of the consequences that flow from the salary increase that we grant. We have to make sure that the salary increase that we grant doesn't create distortions in the economy more broadly. We have to make sure that it doesn't have inflationary consequences. So there are a number of balancing considerations that have to be taken on board. And in arriving at whatever number we pay from year to year, we weigh all of those considerations in determining the final salary increase that is granted.
On the issue of salary disparity, the Minister of Finance said priority will be given as a start at entry-level positions across different parts of the public service, with a view to resolve some of the inconsistencies.
All right, moments from now, we'll take a break, and when we come back on the other side of the news and so on, we'll be talking with Mr. Ravi Balgobin Maharaj. He's a public interest advocate. He's taken on the issue of the government's decision to postpone the upcoming local government elections. So those things and more still to come. Stay with us. This is AM Prime on this day here on WESN.
The Trinidad and Tobago Youth Philharmonic presents Christmas at the TVs on Saturday 26 November at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday 27 November at 5:30 p.m. at the National Academy for the Performing Arts, Port of Spain. Come and enjoy surprise arrangements by the illustrious Kenneth Lashrop, music director, as well as Christmas classics backed by popular demand, your favorite television themes of yesteryear, and contemporary gospel music performed by the TTYP and guest performance Ian Gillian Singers and Band. Bring the entire family to enjoy delightful performances by the Trinidad and Tobago Youth Philharmonic on Saturday 26 November at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday 27 November at 5:30 p.m. Let us celebrate the reason for the season. For details on tickets, please contact Napa's box office or visit our social media blades. You can contact us at 751-6297, 476-8897 or 869-8897.
Here is your WESN News on the Hour. I'm Sean Michael Small. Thanks for joining us. Here are the headlines. Tobago's Secretary of Health and Wellness clarifies issues with food cards. Northeastern Division officers seize gun, ammunition, and camouflage clothing. 2 charged with SRP officers' murder. Now for the details. Secretary of Health and Wellness, Dr. Faith B. Israel, has sought to clarify concerns expressed by some Tobagonians regarding the discrepancies in the distribution of food cards.
At the beginning of this year, apparently, the Ministry of Social Development made a policy decision that if you were getting another kind of grant from them, so if you were getting your old age pension or if you were getting a disability grant or any of those other types of services from the ministry, and you were also getting a food card, they were stopping your food card. So there were a lot of people at the beginning of the year who were stating that they were going to the grocery or whatever and their food card was stopped. That is because the ministry made that policy decision to stop the food cards at the beginning of the year. That had nothing to do with the Tobago House of Assembly.
Officers of the Northeastern Division seized an illegal firearm, a quantity of ammunition, and camouflage clothing during anti-crime exercises conducted on Wednesday. During the exercise, officers proceeded to 6th Avenue, Malik, where they conducted a search in the vicinity of Councilman Circular. There, they found and seized 1 Glock 19 pistol fitted with an extended magazine containing 4 rounds of 9mm ammunition. The party of officers acted on information, then proceeded to an abandoned house in Bank Road, Piaku. The officers then conducted a search at the house where they found and seized 11 rounds of 5.56 ammunition, an extended magazine containing 4 rounds of 9mm ammunition, 2 camouflage jackets, 2 camouflage trousers, and 3 magazine pouches. 2 persons appeared before a Scarborough magistrate on Wednesday, charged with the murder of Special Reserve Police Officer Kyle Lashley. 24-year-old Akini Gregg and 28-year-old Kadisha Hearn were jointly charged with the offense, and Gregg was also charged with receiving a stolen vehicle. PC Lashley, who was last attached to Crown Point Police Station, was in the company of friends around 7:10 p.m. on November the 12th at Providence Road when a vehicle stopped alongside them and 2 armed men exited. One of the men proceeded to relieve PC Lashley of a gold chain and fired several shots at him. The men then entered the vehicle, which sped off. Lashley was rushed to the hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Internationally, measles has killed 12 children in the western Indian city of Mumbai and surrounding areas, authorities say. The first death was reported around the 26th to 27th of October when 3 children died within 48 hours. The city had 233 confirmed cases this year until Wednesday, a 3-fold jump from the 92 cases and 2 deaths reported last year. Authorities say a sluggish vaccination drive amid the COVID pandemic has contributed to the spike in infections. The latest reported death on Tuesday was of an 8-month-old baby who was partially immunized, the local municipal body said in a press note. Well, that's News on the Hour on WESN. My name is Sean Michael Small, and thanks for watching. Take some time for yourself or spend some time with the family at Sandy Point Village Hotel. Enjoy our various studio and suite apartments, self-contained with their own kitchenettes and Wi-Fi. We also have our famous 100-foot swimming pool and our beachfront restaurant, the Steak and Lobster Grill. And our location in Crown Point puts us near the center of activity from the nylon pool to the local nightlife. Call us and make your reservations at 639-8533, 389-2378 or email us at sandypointvillagehotel@gmail.com.
FanZone, your reliable, authentic supplier, has just gotten better. You can now visit our website www.fanzonett.com for your authentic wear and collectibles. The only place where you can use both your Visa debit and credit cards. Visit our website fanzonett.com to make your purchase today.
The best for your baby is at dbesttoys.com. We have the best strollers, car seats, walkers, eating accessories, playpens, cribs, clothing, and the widest range of brand name toys like Barbie, Hot Wheels, Nerf, LOL, Fisher-Price, Cocomelon, Intex pools, Amazon Fire tablets, HP and Gateway laptops, and the best bikes, scooters, skateboards, and ride-on. Visit us in-store at Southern Main Road, MacBean, or shop online now at dbesttoys.com. That's dbesttoys.com. We have the best toys at the best prices.
Every day, we communicate through stories. Stories of ourselves, our challenges, our goals, our experiences, and our aspirations. Storytelling is an art that we have mastered. WESN Film Studios comprises a collaborative team of experts with extensive industry experience locally, regionally, and internationally. The ability of your business to successfully communicate with your preferred audience depends on the strength of the stories you tell. Your vision should be communicated in a high-quality, professional, and creative way. From concept to post-production, advertising to film, multi-camera productions, live events, streaming, and virtual conferencing, we are WESN Film Studio. Let your own unique voice be heard and your vision realized. Call us today at 628-5835 for your next production.
scintillating music. The cello by Michelle Herrera and Christine Clement, members of the Trinidad and Tobago Youth Philharmonic Orchestra. And that's to talk about a concert that is coming up this weekend at the National Academy for the Performing Arts in Port of Spain, Christmas at the TVs. The show is about Christmas music from television series past and gone by. We had a discussion with that with the master behind this, the leader of the orchestra, Mr. Kenneth Listrop. So that is for this weekend, Saturday, 26 November, 7:30 p.m. and Sunday, 27 November, 5:30 p.m. at the Napa in Port of Spain. It's said by public demand. Exciting themes of yesterday and delightful Christmas music, a reason for the season. So check that out. We take a break. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Is it politics? What is it? Is it that nobody cares about sports?
The kind of support that sport used to get in the past is no longer here.
The thing is, taking a knee doesn't mean that that's the only thing you're doing on it.
Right.
Taking a knee along with other stuff.
Samantha, what are you looking forward to when you return home to Trinidad and Tobago after winning the title?
Thank you very much for speaking it into existence.
Is it no pressure on Nicholas Paul?
It makes me more motivated to work hard and to go out there and rep the red, white and black.
Why are we sending a team to the Winter Olympics?
There are a number of Trinbagonians who are in the diaspora and have grown up in winter sport. It's an opportunity that the Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee will not close the door on.
I also believe in the players that we have. Once you can motivate the players, you can get the best out of them.
In this season, we talk more about health, wellness, and everything in between. I am so excited to share with you everything about health and wellness so that you can design the life that you've always dreamed of. Join me here on What's Up Doc.
What's Up Doc? Tuesdays and Thursdays here on WESN, Content Capital.
With society plagued by a host of issues, with debates surrounding our urgent concerns falling short, with questions of our future not always being answered.
The conversation continues. Join me, Kemuel Pascal, as the voice of the youth comes to life. We will confront the controversial topics of today's world to gain answers that are key for a better tomorrow. One and One with me, Kemuel Pascal. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Only on WESN, Content Capital.
Every word, every line, every paragraph depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
again, the music of the Trinidad and Tobago Youth Philharmonic Orchestra, Christine Clement and Michelle Herrera. So they're performing this weekend at Napa in Port of Spain. Christmas at the TVs, Saturday at 7:30 a.m., Sunday at 7:30 p.m., I'm sorry, and Sunday at 5:30 p.m. And there's some guest artists as well, so you have to check that out. The Trinidad and Tobago Youth Philharmonic Orchestra under the musical directorship of their leader, Mr. Kenneth Listrop. We move from that back to, well, other things, and we're talking now with Mr. Ravi Bhargavan Maharaj, public interest advocate. An emergency application has been filed by him for injunctive relief as part of the legal challenge to the government's decision to proclaim parts of the recently passed Local Government Reform Act. The act allows the delaying of local government elections by a year, which the government has said it wants to do. On Monday, attorneys for Mr. Bhargavan Maharaj filed the application in the High Court. It seeks to restrain the councillors and aldermen elected in the December 2nd, 2019 local government election from acting beyond their last day in office, officially the 3rd of December 2022. Ravi, good to see you. Good day.
Hi, Andy. Good morning to all of your viewers this morning.
All right, thanks. Well, let's talk about this action. What is contestable about it?
Well, the thing about it is that when we filed the initial matter regarding judicial review of the government's decision to extend this local government election, we were hoping for a very concise hearing, and we were hoping for a prompt ruling from the court. The thing about it, because of the actions of the attorneys that are representing the state, and they are trying to draw this out for as long as possible, and they are trying to get the hearing. Well, the next hearing date was scheduled for January 9th and 10th, which would have been an entire month after the current term of the local government bodies would have expired. It expires on December the 3rd. So what we did, we filed for injunctive relief, and we're hoping that this can get a more expeditious hearing, or barring that, we would be able to have an injunction against the local government officials who are currently holding office, so that they wouldn't be able to continue holding office past December the 3rd until the hearing is completed.
All right, so that's sort of like working from two different angles here.
Yeah, basically. But it allows us the freedom, if the case were to continue as is currently planned into January, it would allow us at least not to have these persons occupying public office illegally, as is our stance.
After the 3rd of December?
Yes. And I'll tell you something else. The government is planning to implement things like property tax, and they're trying to install public officials into permanent positions in these local government bodies. All of these things, I think, are just measures that they are using to hold on to office for as long as possible, so that they would have a greater control of these local government bodies. And the reason that they're extending the election is because they are hoping that, they can implement these things in bodies that they currently have control of, instead of, having an election that they might lose, and then lose these bodies in the interim.
What are the prospects you're seeing and your team seeing for getting the matter in the court and discussed and adjudicated?
Well, I mean, we're being led by Mr. Anand Logan, one of the preeminent attorneys in Trinidad and Tobago, former Attorney General. And his legal team are doing their best to get this matter. Again, it's not a matter of winning the matter outright, I think, as much as either getting it done expeditiously or getting the injunction against the local government officials.
Yeah. So, with the Act itself, right? It says that the Act will make for delaying elections.
Yeah, well, like I said, the election was supposed to take place between December 4th and March 4th, I think, because the term comes to an end on December 3rd. But yeah, the Act, as imposed by the government, seeks to extend their term by an entire year, so that the election would be held between December 4th and March 4th of 2024, sorry. When this matter came up for a debate in the Parliament and in the Senate earlier this year, there was an expectation that any resolution that would have come out of it and any implementation of this Act would have been put forward for the term that was coming into office after the local government election. There was no expectation that it would have been performed on the current term, and that is where we're filing our judicial review, because the term in office would have come to an end about a month after the Act was proclaimed. And you can't just implement things and extend the life of public officials like that, just on a whim, and especially not at the last moment. People had the expectation that when they would have voted in 2019, that, the persons they were voting into office would have spent a term of 3 years, after which they would have been able to go back to the polls and decide whether or not they wanted them to stay longer. By extending them now 1 year using an Act instead of the voting process, I think is an impediment to democracy. And that is the reason that we think we have a strong case with our judicial review of this matter.
Because December 2nd, it's just a couple of days away from now.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the term would have come to an end on December the 3rd. I mean, that's less than 2 weeks away. And that is why it's so important, again, for the injunctive relief that we're filing, to either prevent those persons in office from serving past that end date, or to have the hearing, moved up, the timetable of the hearing moved up, and then, we just get a ruling on the matter before that term comes to an end.
Yeah, so the petition to try and stop these people from working after that date, that is conditional upon whether you get the agreement in the court to go ahead with the matter in essence.
Well, no. I mean, the matter can be heard by the courts in either case. Even if we don't get the injunctive relief, the matter will still be heard by the courts. These persons would remain in office. And then whenever we get a ruling from the courts, based on that, they will determine whether or not the person should remain in office, whether an election should be held. What we're saying, though, is that as guided by the Constitution and as guided by the Voting Act of Trinidad and Tobago, these persons, it shouldn't get to a point where the case itself, the matter itself, is before the courts pass the due date of their termination. Because it gets into very legally murky territory. Again, these persons would then be seen to have been acting in an office illegally for a certain amount of time. And you surely don't want that to happen. It bears to mind a matter that would have occurred last year with the Police Service Commission and the appointment of the acting police commissioner, where, again, the courts found that the manner in which he was appointed to that office in an acting capacity was illegal, and now we have all sorts of rules being looked to be amended in Parliament because of the way that it's constructed. But like I said, you have to make sure that these things don't happen in the first place. You can't wait for the court to rule and then reactively try to make amends for something that we know to be illegal. You have to at least put safeguards in place to prevent any illegal activity from taking place, and that is what this injunctive relief is basically seeking to do.
To what extent do you think John Public is able to sort of digest the complexities of what we're talking about here?
Well, I'll tell you, a lot of people in the public right now, I mean, not only in terms of local government, but in national government as well. You know, a lot of people are looking to get rid of this PNM administration because they have not been performing. They've been there 7 years in national government. They've been there 3 years in local government in some cases. You know, and so really and truly, people are looking to head out to the polls to cast their vote, to make their determination, and to let their voices be heard. And the government attempting to preempt that or to prevent that, you know, really needs to be a matter to be closely looked at by the general public. And I think they are seeing it. And I think there's a lot of voices that have been supporting us in this matter. I think there's a lot of persons who believe that we are in the right and we will be victorious again, but it goes back to the timing of it and whether or not we can prevent these persons from serving in office past their due date and past the legal term limits.
All right, Ravi Maharaj, thank you very much for talking to us. So let's see what happens in days from now. We continue to stay in touch with you on this issue.
Sure, and thanks again for having me.
All right, it's always good. All right, so we're trying to come to the close of this program now, again with another taste of the music that people are going to hear tomorrow and Sunday at Napa if they go there. The Christmas at the TV's presentation by the Trinidad and Tobago Youth Philharmonic Orchestra. They're going to take us out with another piece. Christine Clement and Michelle Herrera at Napa in Port of Spain this weekend, Saturday at 7:30, Sunday at 5:30. That's our broadcast for this edition of the program. We thank you for watching. I'm Andy Johnson. We tell you you could check us out here on all our social media platforms. In half an hour from now, the guys come in for Talking Point, today's edition, after the news at the top of the hour. But from Andy Johnson, thanks for watching. Have a good weekend. We see you on the other side.
WESN.
The Trinidad and Tobago Youth Philharmonic presents Christmas at the TVs on Saturday 26 November at 7:30 p.m. and Sunday 27 November at 5:30 p.m. at the National Academy for the Performing Arts, Port of Spain. Come and enjoy surprise arrangements by the illustrious Kenneth Lashrop, music director, as well